This equilibrium between the two poles exists at all periods of cultural vitality, be it the golden age of classical Greece or that of the Renaissance. Our program is a humanities program, but in a culture that has lost its balance between those two essential poles. 20 years ago, the money and the glory went to the Human Genome Project until the cover of Times magazine debunked the myth that we are our genes. So that was the end of that period 20 years ago. Today, we see the dominance of neuroscience in almost all fields that study human nature, as if to suggest we are our brains. We're not our genes, but we are our brain. So you can see this and this, all these fields. Neuropsychoanalysis, neuropsychology, neurocounseling, neuroethology, emotional brain training, social neuroscience, sociophysiology, molecular psychiatry, biological psychiatry, medical humanities, developmental cognitive neuroscience, developmental psychobiology, psychosomatic science, as if to suggest we are our brains. And there are some neuroscientists who are trying to find the wisdom spot in the brain. But here's the good news for us in the humanities. This is the most impressive quotation I found to suggest that the culture formats the brain. An eye is a strange loop in a brain where symbolic and physical levels feed back into each other and flip causality upside down, with symbols seeming to have gained the paradoxical ability to push particles around rather than the reverse. Can you say more strongly than that, that the humanities there is where it's happening? And this one, in the past century, there was an unfortunate division between the subject matter of neuropsychology and the lived reality of the mind being the word that neuroscientists use to oppose it to the physical gray matter of the brain. So there's the brain and there's the mind, which we would call the psyche or the soul. And this one that is really interesting when you work on your personal myth and where this is going, what's the next chapter in your personal narrative, the act of recollecting and reflecting upon one's past is cognitively and neurologically similar to the act of anticipating one's future, although we don't use the word memory in that case. So really what that means is working on your personal myth and working on where the culture is going changes the destiny, changes how you think and feel and see your life and your goals. And this is, what basically we do in our program. Gaston Bachelard sums it up really in one sentence. It would help us to put our troubles outside us and make them function as if they were images. Those of you who've done the program, you know that this sums it up. And finally, this one, a mythos is more than a theory and more than a plot. It is the tale of the interaction of humans and the divine. And by divine, James Hillman doesn't mean faith in any specific tradition, but what's bigger than the ego. To be in a mythos is to be inescapably linked with divine powers, and moreover, to be in mimesis with them. a theme my colleague Dennis likes, a word you like to use. The poetic basis of mind suggests that the selective logic operating in the plots of our life is the logic of mythos, mythology. And that's why when you study mythology, it's as if you do as well a degree in depth psychology, because it's basically, it's an ancient form of psychology that has the advantage of being pre the domination of Christian era. So it's like recovering pre-Christian ideas about the psyche. So we do look at Greek and Roman tradition, but we look at a panoramic view of all traditions, trying to extract the nuggets of wisdom from all these traditions. Thank you.